What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Scale News Update. If you're not familiar with the show, this we talk about the news topics that happened in the scale world of RC over the past week. And boy, was there a lot to talk about for this week. So if you enjoy the Scale News Update regularly, hit the like button now. Let's jump into this week's topics. First for this week, Spektrum is teasing some new tech, as they have put it in their social media reel. It's shown on a Heliumon from Axial, and what I think it's showcasing is just the number of features that it can handle. Because they show a winch working, they show four-wheel steer working in a couple of different ways, they show lights being activated. I believe they even show maybe a front and a rear winch or a suck-down winch, as well as all of the other features that the Heliumon has, like locking, front, rear, dig, all of those functions. There's a lot. So kind of leading me to believe that Spektrum may be releasing a radio with more channels. That would be my best guess at this point. And we're gonna see the release of it on 9/11. So that is when we expect to see, and that's when they're going to open pre-orders to it. At first, when I saw this, I thought it was a winch, but then I remembered that they actually released a winch way back, episode 253 of the Scale News. So like a couple of years ago. And it was $200, if you remember that. It's still available too, in case you're interested. But I guess we'll find out next week if you don't see it before then. But we'll definitely circle back and cover that again. Then next, the weekly RC10 segment of the show. This week, the RC10 of favor is the F6, a re-release of a 2017 F1 car, basically. But with a twist. This time it has a gold chassis and white plastics. I don't know much about the F1 world of the RC side of things, but I was checking some of the other like RC news site, and Red RC kind of it had some interesting comments as far as how they covered it. They said on redrc.net, falling short of what 1/10 Formula One racing fans might have been hoping for after their F1 teaser, Team Associated has announced the release of the RC10 F6 Classic Edition. And then they kind of went on to state that this isn't exactly like an up-to-date or a modern, kit that you would hope for. It's just, again, it's basically a re-release of the 2017 RC10 F6 kit. So their Red RC is a site that is mainly focused on the racing aspect of the hobby, and they're hoping that, similar to how Associated re-released the TC 7.2 before they released the TC8, they're hoping that this F6 release is just something that they're kind of throwing out there before they release something that's like properly up to date and whatnot. So anyway, not an inexpensive kit, still a little over $400 for this thing. Actual retail cost is $409.99. And speaking of retail costs, the next story has to deal with Team Associated and Horizon Hobby. Now, Team Associated, a manufacturer that makes vehicles, kits, parts, all that types of thing, and then they sell it to both customers direct as well as hobby shops, or to a distribution center that sells then to other hobby shops. And that's what Horizon is. While Horizon has their own brands as well, they are the largest, probably, distributor of RC products in the US. And I don't know about nationwide or worldwide, but many companies sell to Horizon, and then Horizon distributes that through their network of hobby shops, things like that. Things that you may be aware of already. Team Associated made a statement on social media that this is the wording of the actual statement, so you don't have to try and zoom in and read it here. It says, due to persistent distribution issues, specifically unauthorized price reductions and excessive inventory liquidation eroding our brand's value, we have suspended product supplies to Horizon Hobby pending a mutual satisfactory resolution. The suspension aims not to terminate our relationship, but to protect our product's integrity. We will continue providing products of all our brands via leading distribution channels, ensuring customer access. We anticipate Horizon Hobby's prompt engagement to resolve these concerns. Updates forthcoming. And there was a prompt response by Horizon Hobby, and that was to absolutely fire sale Team Associated product today. Now, that post from Team Associated came out on Sunday night about 9:30 p.m., which is an odd time, but it's not if you understand or think about where the leadership of Team Associated is now. It's no longer like really US based, it's in Taiwan. And that would have been basically the morning of Monday in Taiwan. They decided to make that statement on the social media channels. And then today, I believe I saw an email around 11 a.m. Pacific time with the ultimate, or it's specifically called the Ultimate Associated Sale on Tower Hobbies, where for anywhere between $80 and $120 off of kits and RTRs, basically just going through the line and dumping stuff. $120 off of a lot of several elements. Some of the like the SR7 Associated Go Fast car, which had like the whole like recall, and then they took the ESCs out of all of them and then sold them as sliders. Those going from like $479 to like $320, just dumping product. And I can't imagine that is exactly the response that Team Associated thought that this would elicit. I maybe we'll see an update from Team Associated on this, as they said updates would be forthcoming. So that makes me think that decision was made after that post. It was pretty interesting to see. Now that deal is only until 9/10. This news will come out on 9/9, so you'll have 2 days basically of those sales being up. Maybe before they go deeper. Maybe they'll try and sell everything at this % off, and then they're just going to reduce it and go again. Like, buy what's left, I guess. Some things are already, a few items are already sold out, but there's a lot of the vehicles that just weren't popular vehicles in general that the price reduction is what it's taking to move them. Now, I'm not necessarily on the side of Tower, like protecting a brand's map pricing or minimum advertised pricing is important for a lot of reasons. Now, consumers may say, well, if we can get a better deal, we should be allowed to. A store should be able to sell to us at less. And the problem is that it's a slippery slope. Brands set up a pricing structure where they're able to sell to a customer, but they're also able to sell to a dealer or a distributor at a reduced cost so that those people can then make some margin on the sale direct to a customer. And the thing with that, the reason that is nice is that if you want the luxury of being able to go to a store and buy an Associated part and a Hobby Wing part and a Traxxas part, whatever it may, if you want to buy them all at once, like, you need those agreements, because that's what a store does, is they sell multiple brands. If you don't want to have to just go to that website to get these parts, pay shipping, go to this website, buy parts, pay shipping, like, and do all of this thing, like, you need those agreements. And also, like, if you enjoy the luxury of having a local hobby shop, then those stores are built on that structure. Even Amazon, there's a dealer or a manufacturer who sells it to them at a discount so that they can sell it to you and you can have it before 4 a.m. the next morning. That's how all of these are done. And if you don't have a map pricing of some sort, it's just kind of a race to the bottom. And then somebody with no overhead can buy it and make $2 on it, where someone who's got a storefront, who's got to pay rent and an employee to be there, can't maintain that business anymore. And that's why map pricing is established and why it's generally considered to be a reasonable thing. I learned today that that's not necessarily even something that's done or allowable in certain areas of the world, but here in the States where this company is based, it is a thing, and there is a distribution agreement with Horizon Hobby that generally states that is not supposed to be breached. I've read the agreements pretty closely, and it's pretty much in there that you're not allowed to sell it for less than that without the permission of the other party. But once the agreement is breached, see Ultimate Associated Sale, everything's kind of out the window. One other interesting take to this is that Big Squid, another RC news outlet, they had posted a story about this. They, copied Team Associated's image, put it up on there, and they had said or stated specifically on their site, over at Team Associated, they have released a statement concerning one of their distributors, Horizon Hobby. Associated has been distributed by Horizon for decades, but now it seems they are running into some issues. As of late, Horizon has dropped their race teams, canceled most of their major events, and reduced staff and advertising, thus leading to much speculation on the health of their company. The speculation of their, being that in this world, I do know some employees or a number of employees that have left Horizon. We have all seen events being canceled and things like that. And the pullback on advertising would maybe be something that would better be spoken about by somebody like Big Squid, who has advertisers who pay for those banner ads and everything that go on the side of their site. So, that is an interesting take on it. The health of Team Associated in different ways has been in question. The same thing. Lots of staff has left there over time. Most of the U.S. based staff seems to have left, and leaving just a handful, and mainly being handled now in Taiwan. So a lot of interesting things on both sides of that. It'd be interesting to see again if we see any updates. And speaking of updates, if you want to see more updates on my stuff, channel membership. Helps support the channel. You get some extra videos behind the scenes. You get Afternoon's Delight, where we'll go back over some of the interesting topics of the news. Also, just kind of what's going on behind the scenes, see some stuff, projects ahead of time, things like that. If you're interested, there's a link down in the description below. And sometimes we do giveaways, which we just did for the last quarter. So if you're interested in any of that, again, find that link in the description below. Thanks to everybody who watches any of the videos, and thanks to everybody who helps support the channel a little extra. Then Wednesday's live stream takeover, Matt and myself every single Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's random, somewhat RCBS, and then everything else as well. It's a great time. Come join us. And if you work for an RC company and like to see any of your products on the Scale News, shoot me an email to news@harleydesigns.com. to include a photo, a description, and a link to where it'll be found on your website. Love to take a look at that and see if we can get it here in the news. This week, new on Umagine. If you've never heard of FJORDLING, you wouldn't be alone, because I hadn't either until just a short time ago. But FJORDLING is when you take these old Norwegian fishing boats, basically, and you put a great big motor on them, and then you just drive across the water on just the smallest amount of the back of your boat as possible. And the reason that that's awesome is because now on Umagine, from Hill Printies, you can have this 1/6 scale FJORDLING fishing boat, which is so sweet. It's a 3D printable outboard motor on there. Of course, there are some parts in there that you will need to purchase and assemble, but this boat is freaking incredible. I looked through the documents and the instructions on this thing. Feels like I'm gonna have to build it because it looks so good. Definitely go check that one out. Umagine repository for RC printable projects. Like this one, the Project IJ we've covered, the skid steer that Matt and I both did. So many amazing projects on there. Definitely worth checking out. I'll put a link down to the FJORDLING rig. It's just a fun word. Down in the description below. Next, Flysky released a couple of new pieces. One is the INR8-8D Receiver, which got a great ring to it, but this is a receiver as well as an integrated light controller, where it's got just 2-prong little stations in there, so you can put a bunch of LEDs right into the receiver, no additional light controller needed. And you can also control and program the LEDs from the radio. So tons of control without needing an additional module, all being able to be done from your radio. Now, if you want to be able to program the light controller side of it from the radio, you will need one of the Noble series radios to do that. This is able to support 8 strings of LEDs right into the receiver, as well as the 8 channels of the actual RC side control. So you're not actually just taking up space to be able to run the LEDs. Those are fully separate, and then you have your 8 channels. Very cool on that side. The other new piece that they released is the FSI BTA01. Now this thing is a little bit weird and not like marketed like really clearly. It is labeled as a telemetry adapter. And in the description of it, it says that it's compatible with Hobbywing ESCs with real-time data recording capabilities and a program port, such as the XR8 Pro, the XR8 Plus, the XR10 Pro, Max 10 G2, Platinum V4 60, 80, 120, Platinum V5, 260 amp, etc. I don't know 100% what etc. covers, but in the email that I got about this, it says that it can control some of the programming functions of those Hobbywing features from your radio with this unit. So between the two pieces of information that I have, I don't 100% know if this is going to apply to any of the common ESC or ESC motor combos that we use commonly in our world. I do have one on the way, and I believe that these programming functions are only compatible with the Noble series of radios. So we're gonna put that all together and see what we can get from this new unit here, because it'd be nice if there was some good information about this thing available. Last week, the final video in the Rockabilly series went live, where I covered the finishing of the rig as well as the new roof design and taking it through its paces and just doing a ton of gates. When finishing that build up, there was a number of additional parts that I kind of put together for my build. And I took all of those as well as the second interior option from Plush RC Customs, and I put those in a secondary download. So if you have built a Rockabilly or you're building one and you want any of those other options, you can download those separately, and I'll put a link down below to those. If you'd like to check out what those details are or any of that information, you can find that in the video, which I'll also put down below as well. Next, BashMaps, which is an app that you can get on both iOS and Android, had a big update in the last week or so. This is version 7, and in this, they now have an RC-only marketplace hosted on the app, as well as the actual function or the focus of the app is being able to find places to either bash or race or rock crawl, trail ride, any of those options. And they're worldwide. If you see the video, you can see all of the blue dots that surround the US and the world where there's good spots to go run your cars. And if you want to share spots, you can do that as well. They also added 3D mapping, so you can kind of go in and see the terrain of an area while you're just sitting there scrolling, rather than having to actually, get a look on, Google Earth or Google Maps, Street View, anything like that. A little bit more information right on there, super smooth to use as well. They also have like the garage function where you can set, show your rigs in there, add them all in. Kind of a nice option, and doesn't have some of the restrictions that there are some other apps that are similar to this that do have restrictions on like the garage size. And also it's got an event calendar. So if you'd like to see events happening in an area where you are, this might be something that's worth taking a look. Or if you're an event organizer and you want to look at adding yours to there to try and raise awareness for an event, also something that might be worth taking a look at. If you never checked out BashMaps before, definitely worth a shot. To find it, search BashMaps in your preferred app store. New this week from Dlux, they released the new Madhouse kits. Now, these can be purchased anywhere from a chassis only, the Madhouse chassis, all the way to basically a sporty with electronics and everything you need. You can kind of get it anywhere in between. You can get it as a kit version yourself to find that mid ground. In the product photos, you can see some of the recent trophies that it was used to take, but a sporty is a shaft driven car. So it still has a center mounted transmission, but it's all about performance. So big clearance, big breakovers. This uses like some of the Dlux super weighted knuckles and the crazy wheel designs that they have on there. And when you go to configure it, you can select exactly what you want to complete the package also. The chassis itself is pretty affordable. If you want to go for the full-blown vehicle, prices climb up there pretty quick. WPL posted that there's a new 1/10 scale Suzuki Jimny that they're going to be releasing, a SJ10 Type 1 specifically. Now, this isn't out yet. On their social media posts, they said that they're looking for some input, that they would like some information here or there. It is a 1/10 scale. Jimnys are very small vehicles in general. They had I think it was like a 6th scale Jimny before that was like the size of a 10th scale basically. So this is going to be a fairly small vehicle, but it is leaf spring. So if that is what trips your trigger, you got another one. But accurate, good looking body to it. WPL vehicles are generally kind of cool in the detail side, the hard body, the molded, designs and details. Underneath, they're not usually like wildly capable or well built, but they're cool for what they are, usually pretty affordable. And again, this is another 10 scale, so kind of cool on that side. If you'd like to find or put your 2 cents in there, you can go check out WPL's Instagram on this. This is called the C84. HPI just dropped their version of a re-release with this new Sport 3 Falken Edition Porsche. Now, they had this package before, but with a different paint scheme on it, and it looked incredible. And this version with the Falken livery, right there with it. The body is done so well. It's so cool to see that they brought this one back. It was definitely one of my favorites back then. They had like a shark version of it. I don't remember exactly what it was called or what the race team was called at that time. It was before like Rexy and Roxy, but it's very similar style. This thing looks incredible. I probably need to have it because they just did such a great job with it. Underneath, it's a Sport 3, which has been around for a very, very long time. It's nothing to write home about. It's their version of a TT02, basically. Just nothing special, but they put a nice body on top. I love it, though, because it's a Porsche body, so probably need that one. But that is going to do it for this week's news topics. For this week's question, speaking of re-releases, what would you like to see brought back? What RC10 is missing? No, what product would you like to see brought back onto the market? Axial XR10, always the Berg axles from back in the day. Wheelie King, don't do that. Nitro Wheelie King, 2-wheel drive. What old vehicle, old part, whatever it is, would you like to see come back on the market? Put your comments down in the comments below. It's the only place you can put them. Love reading them. It's my favorite part of the news every single week. But with that, it's going to do it for this week. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you didn't, there's a button for that too. You can hit that one. It all counts the same. But as always, thanks again for watching. Subscribe, hit the bell, all the good stuff. Channel membership's available if you care. Thank you very much. See you on the next one.